Hello, well, welcome to the show. This is Emotional Badass, where Moxie meets mindful. I'm your host, Nikki Eisenhauer, life coach and psychotherapist. And on today's episode, we're considering the secrets of inner strength. Our ideas of strength are interesting to consider. Where do our ideas of emotional strength come from? I'm going to share where I think some of mine come from, and I want to encourage you to look back on your life and extrapolate the messages that helped you form ideas about where strength comes from, what it looks like, what it is, and what it isn't. I was taught that stuffing and hiding emotion was strength. The visual I often get when I think about this is a wife at the funeral of her beloved husband or child. I can see her in my mind's eye, somber, stoic, greeting guests. I was taught that strength was never acknowledging that you were affected, never letting them see you cry. We hear that one a lot when it comes to somebody bullying you. We tend to see non-emotion, flat affect, the control of stuffing down our response, covering it up, as strong, and the expression of emotion as weak, messy, dramatic, even crazy in our culture. We're not born thinking these things. Interesting to think about that we're born, and guess what we all do first? We typically cry, show emotion. It's interesting that as we grow, collectively, we're sort of taught to move away from that emotion, isn't it? When I look back at my childhood, I can see how often I felt just wrong in what I wanted to express in sharing, wrong because I was thinking thoughts that seemed different than other people, wrong for having feeling in the first place. I was given no permission, no outlet to express the intense feelings I was obviously, glaringly feeling. I've shared on the show that my biological father abandoned me when I was young. That's a pretty reasonable thing to have feelings about. But the adults didn't know what to say to me. They didn't know what to do. They felt bad for me. They had feelings that they didn't know how to deal with. So the best they knew how to do was to give me a message to not deal with any of those feelings either. I had the impression that I wasn't supposed to feel, and that something was majorly wrong with me, that I had intense emotion and ideas. I learned. It's a learning, y'all. That's why healing is also a learning. But I learned to hold back for fear of judgment and shame. And because I'm smart, I learned, I'll shame myself first before anyone else even has the chance. Aha, this is how I'll never be blindsided. Our very young psychology can decide this. When I was a child in the 80s, psychology hadn't yet figured this out. It hadn't yet connected night terrors to an abandonment wound. And it lines up. I didn't have night terrors until my father walked out of my family. And we've all had nightmares. Night terrors are like nightmares on steroids. A child with night terrors is inconsolable and is screaming like they're being murdered as they wake up and try to orient themselves. It's intense. And I will give my mother credit. I know that she did try in her way to comfort me. But even on my mother's best day, nothing is very maternal about my mom. Her energy was icy and hard. She didn't so much know how to comfort me. She knew how to shut me down and try to get me to stop it, which was not very comforting. But I know that it was an earnest effort on her part. Now, I'm not convinced that abandonment is fully the culprit of night terrors. I would be interested in research that explores if children with night terrors are encouraged in their family system to express versus suppress whatever is happening in their little lives. That's difficult. That's emotional. That's tough. My theory is that intensity has to go somewhere. Emotion has to go somewhere. As a young child, I learned to suppress my feelings and my thoughts about my father during the day. I learned, again, because I'm smart, and I learned quickly, that my mother did not want our father mentioned. She would become enraged if he was mentioned, so I learned to shut up. If I did bring him to her attention, she'd call him names and belittle him. Now, this is abusive to a child to belittle the other parent. A child has awareness that they are of the mother and of the father. It's where we come from. And when one parent disparages the other in front of a child, the part of the child that is of that other parent feels it. Longtime listeners, you know I teach not taking anything personally. The reason I teach this, the reason we work on this as dysfunctional family survivors, is because as children, we cannot know this concept. It is above and beyond our maturity level. Even if someone would have presented this idea to me, it was impossible for me, it would have been impossible for you too, to not take my father's abandonment personally. And when we take it personally, we make it make meaning. And when it hurts, we make the meaning hurt too. The meaning I made from my father being gone and my mother being enraged at him is that I was lacking. Something was missing in me. That was the meaning I made for myself. It was the best I knew how to do. With this experience, this information, I felt broken. I thought something was warped for him to leave me in the first place. And then I added a hefty dose of shutdown because I'd feel my mom's prickliness, her attacks on the man that I missed terribly that had made me. And I couldn't process. I learned that. I couldn't process about him or she'd get nasty. So I bottled it up. Again, because I'm smart. It's how I was learning to protect myself. If I kept it bottled up, I didn't ignite her nastiness towards him and by proxy towards me. I deduced further from this experience that me having feelings and then having questions and confusion was just more proof of how messed up I was. That energy of the loss of him, the confusion, the pain of it, the confusion of not being able to talk about it too. That energy has to go somewhere, y'all. Where does it go? I think the best place that my system could figure out for the pain to go was to release and discharge itself subconsciously through the dream world. Consciously, I was intentionally not expressing. I was trying to avoid the consequence of the judgment of me emoting and then being told that I was weak. As kids, at least for my age, I'm in my 40s, people who are older than me will resonate with this, depending on your family system. If you're younger, you still might resonate with it. But for people who grew up in my generation, as kids, the most common thing in this regard we heard was, if we were emoting, stop being a baby. If someone says stop being a baby to me right now, I can blow them off. I had a lot of pride in being an older sister and not being a baby. What a message. This becomes a message of, hey, Nikki, hey, little girl, hey, little boy, it's only acceptable for babies to cry. So I felt wrong to be 5 and 7 and 9 and have hurt feelings. Made me a baby, didn't it? Longtime listeners, y'all have heard me cry countless times. Some of you out there I know, because you'll write in and tell me, you've listened to every single episode, which blows my mind. You've probably heard me cry over 100 times. I am a crier, a born emoter, an intense feeler, and an expressor. It's who I am in the same way that I have brown eyes and brown hair. I really thought that strength was pretending that you don't care about anything. That you were strong if you just acted fine and didn't let anybody see you crying. Wherever you are listening to Emotional Badass, please make sure that you are hitting that subscribe and follow button if you haven't already. It helps support the show, and it will ensure that you get more videos like this in your feed. Do you want to get hundreds of hours of exclusive audio and video not available anywhere else, and also help support my work in the show? Find us on Patreon at patreon.com/emotionalbadass. You'll get monthly bonus episodes not available publicly. You'll get access to my monthly live stream video Q&As. You'll have public episodes that are there for you that are commercial free. You'll get exclusive discounts and access to our community of badasses. Patreon has been the backbone since we started the show. Y'all consistently help me pay the team that I cannot produce the show without. Thank you so, so much. It's the quickest way to support the show and support your own healing journey. It's a little no pressure, easy peasy community to be a part of. I like to think of it as the healthiest little corner of the internet. Patreon.com/emotionalbadass. I talked about a woman at a funeral earlier. I painted the picture of her being quite stoic, quite emotionless, strong. I think many of us have this very common image that we can conjure. In my image, I saw a white woman in my mind's eye. I still remember the first Black funeral footage I ever saw. I caught it on the news. It was a news story. I was probably about maybe 8. I had been playing on the floor, maybe with Legos or something. My grandparents watching the news. And it grabbed my attention fast. Now, I grew up in a predominantly Black city, and I know that we're living through this policing of language time. The message of this policing of language, like the message to not express emotion, right now seems to be that, hey, a white lady has no right to talk about race. Or the message seems to have become, white lady's talking about race. You better listen, looking for that hidden racism. This message, these messages, like the one not to emote, is just plain wrong. It may be well-intended, just like the messages that my family gave to me because they didn't know how to deal with my emotion. It was well-intended. They weren't trying to hurt me or suppress me or silence me. This episode is not on race, but I'm going to take the opportunity to talk about it. That suppressing of emotion message from my family, it created more emotional problems for me. It increased my stress levels in a way that changed my connection to mind and body, creating intense post-traumatic stress disorder in me. It's taken me many years to unravel and teach my body the peace my mind has known, that we are worthy of feeling, of receiving, of practicing, of relaxing, and even luxuriating into. We get to thrive and not survive. My family really did try to make me so stoic and not deal with my emotion out of good intention. It just failed me and it backfired. Just like much of the messaging from many self-appointed advocates on race or LGBTQ issues or anything else we can add to the advocacy bucket. What heals is being able to naturally express, to not suppress. What heals is just walking around in our lives, not walking on eggshells. That's what heals our relationship to ourselves when it comes to emotion. What heals racism is coming together, not walking on eggshells, having more exposure to other cultures, sharing of cultural experiences. I'm not impressed with good intention that ultimately fails people. This is why I'm not just a therapist encouraging the normalization of expression of thought and emotion while not obsessing on it. I'm a free speech advocate. So as a white woman, I'm unwilling to hold back because I've had an extremely multicultural life. And if you can't understand or accept the wisdom that anyone gets to speak from their experience, then my show is likely not for you. Culture is also different than race. And we don't do well to acknowledge these differences. I saw a video recently of a white woman with a full Jamaican accent. She's German, white German. She married a Jamaican. She learned English in Jamaica from Jamaicans. Even language is more culture than race. Emoting may be more or less encouraged by culture. I don't believe we have very many racial differences, but we have cultural differences in how we express. Much of what we think of as racial issues these days is actually cultural, regional, or influenced by socioeconomic status more than the color of skin. When I was a little girl and that funeral with that Black woman showed up on the TV screen, my head whipped around. She caught my attention like an angel showing up to teach me a lesson. Because I saw, I don't know if it was her son or her husband. I think it might have been her son who had been murdered. That's why it was on the news. But I saw this Black mama in so much pain throw herself over the casket of her dead loved one. I watched her thinking, oh no, she's not supposed to do that. She's showing too much. She's not supposed to feel all of that in front of everybody. She's going to get in trouble. That's how my little girl mind processed. I took that scene with me. It's almost 40 years later. That scene still plays in my mind. That initial response was I was worried for her. She was going to get in trouble. It's not how you're supposed to be at a funeral. That's what my messaging had taught me. As that clip unfoiled in front of me, then I saw people pull her off that casket. While she wrestled with God about her pain, she screamed at the sky. Her tears fell and people were watching her, and I was watching people watch her. I saw her people pull her away and embrace her, and they were strong and they were pulling her as she fell to the ground. She fell to her knees, and her people caught her in her grief. I'd never seen a white woman do that. Her unfortunate pain gave me something I desperately needed. I needed to see that I wasn't the only person on earth feeling intense pain at the loss of my father. By expressing herself, she gave me permission. She showed me what I yearned for. Someone to let me emote. Someone to hold me when my pain took me to my knees. I didn't get that from my culture. I didn't get that from the WASP side of my family. WASP stands for White Anglo-Saxon Person. The culture of the American WASP is to bottle it up, to look stoic, to shove it under the rug. The culture of my New Orleans people is to throw alcohol on top of it and to let alcohol process through the emotions in a way that doesn't release the emotion, just sort of swirls it around. Now, I had the Italian side of my family. Oh, they would express. They'd move their hands a lot, give a lot of facial expressions. They were very animated. But mostly they express disdain, complaint, disappointment, anger, frustration, and shame through blame. I didn't have people showing vulnerable emotion in my world. The Italian side sort of released their anger continuously. And the waspy side of my family stuffed it until somebody blew their top like a volcano. Those were my models. Those were my messages. That Black woman showed me another way. Black culture in New Orleans showed me another way. Gay culture in New Orleans, when I lived on that side of the French Quarter, showed me something different than the culture of my family wanted to or even could. I wondered about these differences that I felt, that I saw. I wondered it as a kid in New Orleans. I'm a highly sensitive empath. I believe I was born one. I could feel different versions of different racial tensions. I could also feel different versions of racial ease and coming together and joy of sharing culture. Sure, the racial divides have been there. In the human condition, there will always be some racial divide because there will always be some immaturity, some meanness, abusive types, nastiness. And they will play out that low maturity nastiness through things like racism, through things like child abuse, through things like never expressing emotion ever. But what I felt stronger than racial divide was the human connection. It's been a major gift in my life to be able to be a part of how other cultures express. As I got older, this would be part of how and why I would wind up in so many different multicultural experiences. I'd seek them out. And I often felt a warmth and an emotional expression from other cultures that I didn't get in my family. This is what I want in the racial conversation. I want us to know that there is so much that we can gain when we just let ourselves see what's different than our own families. And advocates out there, when you get irate with people, when you police their language so hard that they're walking on eggshells, we miss what's rich and what's available in connecting and seeing each other. And not just in the cultivated moments like listening to someone give a speech. It changed my life to be able to witness that woman's pain. It gave me some permission to be different in my family, to feel a little less broken at a time when I had very little coping skill. In honoring our high sensitivity, I want to give a few affirmations for inner strength. You can go the whole rest of your life operating on whatever messaging you just picked up based on the family you were born into, the circumstances of your life, the experiences that have sort of fallen into your lap. Or you can seek changing your relationship with what strength really means. You can look to me, the cultures, the messaging that I share with you that is probably very different than what you grew up with. You can look to other people, other family systems, other cultures. We are all part of this human fabric. And when we seek wisdom, we will find it. Maybe not in the very next second, maybe not in the second after that. But if we keep seeking and we keep going, we will. Life will present us with the wisdom we're looking for, just like my awareness whipping my head around in that moment to pay attention to what was on that TV in front of me. Because it was something that I needed, that nobody else needed in the way that I needed in that moment. And somehow spirit whipped my head around and made me listen. And for that woman's pain, I've often over the years spoken to her. I don't know her name. I don't know if she's still alive. But I've thanked her for her strength in expressing, for knowing the wisdom of not bottling it up and hiding it just to appear stoic, like the wasps in my family line have vied so for. I don't think it's done much for them. To this day, it's part of why I remain no contact with a lot of my extended family, because we just can't do the real emotion. They won't allow it. And I have walked a path that says I do the real emotion. So these are affirmations for inner strength for people who feel intensely. I accept that I feel with intensity. Might sound obvious. Might sound like no big revelation. This is important if we're reprogramming what we've been taught about emotion. I accept that I feel with intensity. What's hidden between the words of this affirmation is the intention that I count, I matter, and I'm not broken. I was born feeling with intensity. The amount of energy that a highly sensitive person will spend in a lifetime trying to dial down that intensity instead of accept it and work with it is astronomical. We may be able to move mountains or flap our arms to the moon with the amount of energy we tend to spend in our individual lives fighting the way we feel, fighting our intensity. I accept that I feel with intensity. I will no longer wrestle my emotions under a rug. While at times I may pick and choose when and where and with whom to emote, I will emote freely. What does that feel like to consider? What does it do for you to affirm the acceptance of your intensity? All right, here's another. I am courageous when I feel. When we're honest about what it is to be human, everything that means, we subconsciously give other people permission to live from their humanity too. Instead of this BS pretending we seem to be passing down and passing along and through the human condition, that we are supposed to be other than how we are. We are feeling creatures. What an odd thing humanity has done trying not to, while social media and AI is playing on our emotion. We need emotional intelligence. We need not just to express for our own process and release, but for the other humans, especially the little ones that are growing up and under us. I am courageous when I feel. I won't treat my emotional body like some forgotten, crap-filled, messy closet that is hidden behind some closed door, like the land of the lost, the land of the forgotten. I am courageous when I feel. I allow my emotional body to express simply. Third one, I deal with my emotions as they come to the best of my ability. Simple, right? Simple's not easy. This is about flow and permission. So much in a dysfunctional family is a message of, you just don't get to deal with what you need to deal with when you need to deal with it. It's always on somebody else's timetable. I deal with my emotions as they come to the best of my ability. Now, that doesn't mean if I'm sitting with my boss and he makes me angry, that I'm going to say, hey, boss, you just pissed me off. We still get to make choices. This isn't about a permission to emote in every single second of our lives. We get to account for appropriateness. We get to put it on the shelf in our mind. In my mind, it's like a little cabinet, and I open the little cabinet door and I put it on the shelf, and then I shut the cabinet door. Sometimes I lock it. All in my mind's eye. That's different than I'm sweeping it under the rug to pretend that it's not there. This is about putting it on the shelf so that I can get through a moment. Maybe I'm at the bank and I need to put it on the shelf for a moment and then go cry in my car. Maybe it's about getting through a presentation at work. Maybe it's that I have to have so much intense emotion that I don't want to scare the 2-year-old that I'm tasked to watch today. This is the art form of how we relate to ourselves. We don't want to sweep it under the rug and pretend that it's not there and that it doesn't need dealing with, but we can put it on the shelf till we get to the end of our day, or maybe to our lunch break, or maybe to the weekend, where we can unlock that cabinet, open the door, and take it out and feel it. Here's another. I strengthened my ability to shift in the expression of my emotion. When I talk to highly sensitive people and we really excavate what is beneath this fear of expression, sometimes a big player is the fear of judgment from others. Sometimes that's a big player. But what more often than not is even beneath that is it's not the feeling. It's not a fear of expressing the feeling. It's the fear of getting mired down and stuck in a sucky feeling. And that makes sense, right? I mean, if I sit back and look at my experience as a little kid, I can really see that subconsciously, the messaging was, my goodness, feelings are so wonky. If we even deal with them a little bit, they will just drown us. So therefore, we won't deal with them really at all. And if we don't see people moving in and out of healthy emotional expression, of having a good cry, and then getting up, dusting our pants off, taking a deep breath and making dinner, flipping the laundry, getting ready for bed. If we don't see that with some regularity, then we don't get programmed with that. So it's a very little kid fear inside of us. It's from the inner child. No, I don't want to feel that. I feel like I'm never, ever going to stop crying if I start crying about that. I have loved moments with clients in session where they start squirming and going, no, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel that. I'm like, hey, you know what? You've tried that. How about let's try feeling it? Let's go into it. How about not avoiding it in this moment? And they finally sit in it. No more squirming. And I'm like, just sit there, just be in it, just feel the allness of what you're feeling. Sometimes we sit there a minute and a half, y'all. And then it's processed. And then it's gone. Those moments where I get to look at someone and say, hey, we did that about 7 minutes ago. How do you feel now? Lighter. Easier. Okay, let's use this moment to help the inner child receive this message. We can shift in the expression of emotion. We can shift with ease. No emotion gets stuck. They all change. It's like a weather pattern. Some storms are very intense. All storms putter out. We can trust that the storm of emotion will putter out. It's easier to let that storm putter out if we go, all right, everything's going to get wet, isn't it? As opposed to watching that storm come and going, oh no, I have to keep everything dry. No, we can let everything get wet and it will dry naturally. Shifting gets easier with permission and practice. Your subconscious, your inner child will get the memo that you can easily shift the more that he or she sees you in the practice of easily shifting from permission. My emotional expression is sometimes private and sometimes more public. I think that's an important thing to affirm. As sensitive people, we can find ourselves in public panicking, trying to smush down emotion instead of just going, yeah, I might tear up in front of somebody. I mean, you would think letting somebody else see you cry is the equivalent of like taking a weapon out and smacking them with a big giant knife or sword or something. This is a simple but powerful affirmation. My emotional expression is sometimes private and sometimes more public. I understand, of course, you don't want to boohoo and cry out in public. If we're highly sensitive, can we all just agree we're probably going to cry in public sometimes? And the paradox is that if we allow it and go, all right, I'm going to cry, let it go, that's the moment when we might not cry. It's really in the trying to smush it down, trying to push it down, saying, no, stop, don't let this happen, that we're going to cry even more. I no longer stress myself out if my emotions show in public. It is easier for me now if I get teary or emotional in an episode. Those first 2 years, it ate me alive. I mean it when I say that this stuff gets easier with practice, y'all. Y'all are witnessing me practice things as you follow along in my career and with the show. When it's hard for you to believe that you can practice and get to a different place, please use me. Go back to a year 1 episode. Listen to it. Listen with a critical eye, not just on my messaging. Notice if my voice is shaking. Notice if I sound unsure. Notice if I'm over-explaining a concept. And then compare to now. See how you see me evolving. and trust that you are evolving too. If I am emoting in public and it's just inevitable, it's going to happen, the thought that I often hold on to is, hey, for my inner child, it's okay to cry. Who knows? There might be a little girl or a little boy watching us. Just like when you were young, a little Nikki watched that Black woman at the funeral. This helps my inner child take a deep breath and let go of trying to smush down the feeling because she learned it as her original language from her family of origin. I allow myself to be seen, if necessary in public, unapologetically. And yes, you never know who's watching, but maybe in a way that could be life-changing instead of mortifying for you. Here's another. I love me. I love what makes me, me. I love what makes me feel alive. Even my pain is a kind of proof of how much I love, and I won't make how I love wrong ever again. I won't make the way that I am wrong ever again. When highly sensitive people embrace who they really are, it's an act of self-respect. Self-love gets all the airtime, right? Self-love, self-love. How about self-respect? This is the secret to getting more respect in our mini worlds as we meet people, as people find out that you're sensitive, as people process you through their own teachings of what they think emotion and strength is and what they think it isn't. The world won't respect us before we respect ourselves. It's a mistake a lot of sensitive people make. I just want people to respect me. It doesn't happen from the outside in. It happens from the inside out. The world won't respect us before we respect ourselves. When we respect ourselves, which means working with our sensitivity, not trying to mask it or bury it, then we can turn to the world with a newfound confidence. As if to say to the world, hey, get on board with respecting me. There's just no other option. Because that's a vibe, it's a frequency, it's an energy you hold. And when you respect yourself, you almost give the world no other choice. You really can learn to respect yourself that much. And it's the second that you no longer feel this sense of need for other people to respect you, when you let that go, that all of a sudden, they do. If you're white and have bought into the white guilt narrative, and I make you nervous when I talk about race, please know that the people who really need to check their racist, bigoted hearts won't. And feeling guilty didn't ever solve anything for anybody else's life. Just have experiences and embrace what's amazing, what's different, what's intriguing and interesting to you from other cultures and other races. Have more experiences. It's people-pleasing and of low self-worth to feel guilty for existing, or because someone told you you better feel guilty. We are to feel guilt when we've done something wrong, and you existing as a white person is not wrong. If you are healing your own childhood trauma, that is enough for you to take on. Trust what you have in your heart and believe that you are enough. Light and love. I am an emotional badass. You are an emotional badass. And together, we are where Moxie meets mindful. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye.